non-competitive grants, we would get an additional 150, which would tack on to our 150 we get now, 300-ish total.
And so the question at hand right now is whether or not we go out for bid. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Probably plans are 98%. We can bid it whenever we want, just like it's always been kind of on the shelf. We would be the only hangar project in bid right now. I don't know if that helps or hurts us, but that's the truth. And then if we decide to reject the bids, then it's, again, 10,000 or 15,000 in the future. So it's not huge numbers, but money.
The only reason we thought would be because it's not going to get any cheaper, I don't think. I mean, not a lot anyways.
I mean-
And that's what our thinking was to.
You guys watch the news as much as I mean, the idea was there were supply chain issues, right? And we were hoping that over 6 months that those issues would get worked out. And they have not. And you watch the news, so, I don't know if that is going to get sorted out in a short time frame or not. How would I ever know?
Again, the price of labor is going to continue to go up. Price of labor is not going to come down. And I know we're going to be paying more money for the price of material, but if we wait, everybody that has an airport is going to be building hangars. So if we're on a list of building a hangar, say 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 2 years from now, there's going to be probably 30 other ones that are waiting for material too. So we'll be waiting another couple of years just to get the material if we keep waiting. And John, correct me if I'm wrong, but the entitlement money that we have, we need to use it by a certain amount of time.
Yeah, that's what I said, is it does, you can only have $450,000 in your bank account, would be the best way to say it. So it does, you start to forfeit it at some date. Now, could we go back to MoDOT and request that non-forfeiture due to this project? I think that they would be agreeable to that. But there is that component that we've not looked into.
We're going to continue to remember that we promised the citizens the projects that we're going to do with the half-cent sales tax. This is one of them, and we're getting revenue back from this. What about
20,000 a year.
20,000 a year from revenue? So it's not like we're putting money out and not getting anything back. I mean, this is a project where I think the city of Washington needs to get up and get going and get it done.
Can you talk briefly about the benefits of the airport for, I chuckled when you said you had 60 on the waiting list. I'm like, well, I don't have a plane. And so I think people think, oh, that doesn't benefit me. But I think there are a lot of economic benefits in having the airport. And so I think if we could talk briefly about those,
Well, I'd have to
that's
probably
helpful.
defer that a little bit back to Darren or Sal.
I think what you have is, we have our existing industries that do utilize the airport probably now more than ever. I don't know, Kevin's here, your airport manager's here, well, he can give you specifics on it, but we know that there is that use. We also have those from the retail trade that come in, utilize the airport. I think Kevin will say that once we expanded the runway back in 2005, that really boosted up, I think, that type of user for our airport. And it's taken a while to go ahead and get there, but there is that benefit. And I don't, like I said, if you want specifics, Kevin, if you want to come up and address that.
Since we, I guess, speak into the microphone.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank
Since
you.
we expanded our runway in 2004, the industries in Washington has become phenomenal. I cannot name maybe a handful that have not utilized our airport. Coming, going, they're people, suppliers, builders, things like that. It's no longer just a small little general aviation airport. The jets that are coming and going, they come in, they utilize our restaurants, car rentals, hotels, weekly, daily. So it has expanded way more beyond these guys just flying around in circles. I'd love to build bigger hangars if possible to store bigger aircraft, but that just gets very expensive. And maybe in the future we can do that.
Thanks, Kevin.
No problem.
And also with the 60 people on the waiting list, don't think that these people just have their airplanes. You got to have a place to put them. So there's somewhere now So the reason they get on our waiting list is because of what we offer here. We've got a mechanic over there, and which helps out a lot with people wanting to come here. So that's why our list is getting bigger and bigger, because we have more things to offer than other little municipality airports.
I'm listening to all of this and what's going on and who knows what's coming, et cetera, but I'd go ahead and make the motion. Let's go ahead and go out for the bid, see what we get.
I'll second that motion.
I would just add one more thing to that real quick. There is one thing that has changed since that last strategy. This was November when we actually decided upon that to wait and just continue to just wait this out a little longer. That transportation bill that came out, from the federal government and all these things, that's one big item that changed. I mean, that's a huge item that's changed. And there is some concern, I guess, in the construction industry of being able to get that money on the ground in a timely manner. So there is, to Councilman Solentrup's point, there is some concern there that prices on those things are just going to continue to go up and inflate just due to the influx of cash being put into that type of market. So,
Greg, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this too, but in the transportation meeting, did Tim Brinker say that there's billions of dollars?
Yes, he said billions of dollars.
There's billions of dollars out there. We just got to have proper procedures to get some of that money to help out with the airport.
that's that 150 that I'm talking about. There are no
That could grow.
they could, right. That's an estimate that we're getting from CMT right now. MoDOT doesn't know how much of the billions of dollars that they're going to get. But again, it's a big airport here, but I mean, it takes a lot to build Lambert and those type of things too. So that sucks up a lot of that money is what we're being told. So I don't want to get everyone thinking that we're going to have millions of dollars to do improvements. I don't think that's the case. I do think it'll be on those hundreds of thousands of additional fund money.
We always talk about shovel ready. If we were like first on the list to put this hangar up, we always talk about being shovel ready. And I think if we do that, then it would help us in the long run.
Okay, so we have a motion by Wessels and a
I second
second
it.
by Scornia to advise that we go out for bid on the airport hangars. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, by your vote, you
And if
approve
y'all
that.
ever have any questions, you know where I'm at.
Yeah,
There every day.
all right. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Freight Depot.
In your packet, we have a proposed contract with Cochran for design services for the freight depot. As you know, we have not had a tenant in that building probably since, 2019, so it's been a while. In order to go ahead, if we wish to go ahead and get some type of tenant in there with a revenue source, we're going to have to go out and at least make it ready for occupancy. And so that's what we've asked Cochran to go ahead and do. You've got your contract within the packet, and then if you choose to send it on to council, we'll have an ordinance for it later.
Did you have anything else, Wayne, to add to that?
No, that's pretty much it. The contract would be for $23,800, so.
Okay, are there
Make a
any?
motion?
Second.
Wayne, one question. It's not in this packet here, but it's in the council packet. It says services not included are, electric,
I'm looking at it right here.
but then it does say that Cochran will do electric on the top. So it was contradicting itself as far as, so will they do electrical changes? Or will they make electrical changes, or that will be all redone on the inside? So
Electric
13 is electric
yeah, electric
will
design.
include, et cetera, but then on services not included, down on the bottom, it says,
Not the upgrade. I think they don't need the upgrade as far as what I can understand.
They're
Provide the new electric panel, lighting, layout, and wiring and electrical distribution for outlets, exhaust fans, mechanical units. I think they're just talking about if you want to, there's not a need for a major upgrade in electric down there.
okay, so the services not included would be not a major upgrade, but it
Correct.
would include those specific
Those-
upgrades?
exactly.
Okay, all right.
So isn't that part of the Front Street underground too? That-
No, this is not tied to that specifically.
I know, but I mean, it will be eventually.
Well, as far as service goes, I don't know
Yeah.
where it's probably going to get service in wherever the new transformer gets set down there on the parking lot.
The freight depot would have needed a new meter with the utility burial anyway.
Okay.
So, but yes, this is, I mean,
Yeah.
whether it's coming from that project or this, that meter would have been, needed to be replaced.
So in our bid document, we should state that to whoever, once Cochran gets a plan together, that should be in that part of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're gonna be updating it to meet code regardless, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not a build, we're not, what we're proposing is not a build-out specific to any individual purpose. It's literally just getting it
White box.
habitable.
Correct.
Inhabitable.
Occupancy inspection.
Okay,
It is far from it right now.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so
There was a motion.
we want
There's a
to,
motion and second.
I seconded, I can't remember who made the motion.
okay, we have a motion by Solentrub, seconded by Pettit, to move this item on to council. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you've sent it on. Thank you.
Communications Department, installation of a Motorboat UHF VHF gateway.
Lisa?
Good evening. So in your council packet tonight, you have a letter from me as well as an ordinance for the purchase of it, also amending some line items within my budget for a conversion piece of equipment that converts UHF frequency to VHF frequency. I know, always radios, right? So this is being done, whether you know it or not, our communications department provides radio communications during all the fair events. And not only between our emergency services, but between the fair board and emergency services. So we are their direct point of contact during the fair. If they have any kind of incidents, or if we need to get in contact with one of them, they come straight into our communications center, and then we're able to notify the proper emergency services. So the current equipment that the fair board uses, they lease from Radiocom. That has been the same equipment that has been in place for years. I don't know how many years, but it's completely antiquated, and it operates off of the VHF platform. So Radiocom has found it necessary to upgrade their radios for the fair, which will provide better communication between us and them, also better radio communication between the fair board members actually on the grounds, because there's been, there's been problems between on the grounds and out at the parking and that kind of thing. So they'll be putting in stuff out there that doesn't have anything to do with us. But my radio console, being on the MOSWIN network, you cannot add any UHF frequencies to that console. So this piece of equipment actually converts their UHF frequency to a VHF frequency, which is currently already in my console, and the dispatcher sitting on the inside will never even know that there's a difference. We looked at a couple of different options. The first option being, some of you may know, we used to dispatch from out at the fairgrounds, but it took additional staffing, at least 2 out at the fairgrounds, and then 2 back at the dispatch center. So we did look at that option of leasing some of the necessary equipment and putting them back out there. I did not feel that that was a feasible option because it would incur extra overtime for the staff to be out there. You would have lease radios every year, so you would have reoccurring fees every year for the dispatchers to be out there. I did not feel that that was a viable option. So I went to Darren and said, hey, we need to do this so that we can talk to the fair board. So the cost for that piece of equipment, the total of it is $6,291.55. And Darren and I, we decided that the proceeds that we received recently from the fair board would be a small amount to take from those funds, so it's not affecting any of the city's funds. So we'll see that in your council packet tonight, so I'm just asking if you have any questions.
We did receive, just so the council knows, we did receive as a result of our agreement with the fair, or the chamber, on our agreement for the fairgrounds, payment in the amount of north of $38,000 this year, which is the highest that we'd ever received from them. I think 10% of the proceeds that they net over $200,000 come back to us. That's part of that agreement. So
That, where does how do you otherwise use that money, or how is that earmarked, or?
Well, this is like I said, this is the most we've ever received. I think the most prior to that, Mary, was less than 10,000 maybe, or?
Wow.
I thought we had something in 2000, because 20 was COVID.
No fair.
And so I think in 19, they did not, yeah, I think they didn't meet that.
Well, that's a great use of the money.
Thank you.
Lisa, I was wondering, would you have any application for this equipment other than the fair?
No, I do not. So, not at this time, I don't. Now, that's not to say that as radio stuff continues to change in the future, it may be something that could be utilized. But, they start the fair events, I'm sure you know, as early as July. One of you guys can tell me a little bit better. And then, they go till about a week after the fair. So they use the radios during their 5K, their whatever run they do. They also use it during the fair parade, the after, all of that. So
It's more than just 5 days.
it is
Ends up
more
being
than just 5 days.
Basically ends
Yeah.
up being almost a month worth of
Yeah,
service, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, your contract with the chamber is from July 5th, I believe, to the August 31st.
So almost 2 months further. Okay, any questions or comments?
Make a motion, moving on.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Patke to move this item on to council. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you've sent it on. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Lisa.
Lisa, are you doing the behind the phone,
Behind the mic,
behind the mic? You're on Facebook?
myself.
Well, your area, you're highlighting. I
Yeah.
just wanted to tell you, I'm really enjoying that. I think we don't otherwise know
Right.
people.
So,
who are helping us.
Officer Gibson reached out to his command staff, who then he reached out to me and said, hey, we'd really like to highlight our communications division. They are an important part of what we do, so we would really like to highlight your staff. So they had the option to either participate or not participate. It's been kind of enlightening for me, too, a little bit. So,
I've enjoyed those. Those are great.
oh, good, thank you.
Yeah, pass that on.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Parks Department 2022 Aquatic Complex fees.
If you'll remember at your February 7th meeting, we were approached by a citizen that was requesting the possibility of the city considering going back to the family pass, which is what was in place prior to the new pool being built. And I believe we explained at that meeting that what we had, what our loss was previous to the new pool and what our loss is still even after we have the new pool, et cetera, with the current fee system that we have in place. Wayne approached his park board back in February. We advised them of that discussion that was made, and that's the reason why I think you had this letter from Sparky, the Park and Recreation Commission co-president, on your packet, I think at our last council meeting. And the reason why we did that, I asked Wayne to include it at that time because you had your agreement with Midwest Pool Management, the continuation of that contract, so you had some kind of idea. But Wayne has brought the numbers again. I think you've seen these before. I think we shared these with the council in the fall of '21, but just as an update for the general public, if they're not realize, and my memory was pretty correct that night with regards to our loss. If you look on 2020, 2019, the year prior to COVID, our loss was $137,299 with pool revenue in 21. With the new pool, obviously 20 was the year of COVID. Our loss was $45,364. So the point being made with sharing those numbers again is that the city does not try to go ahead and break even. That's an impossible task as far as I know. If there's a city administrator out there that's able to go ahead and break even with a pool, well then there must be something else engaged with them, maybe a private-public partnership, et cetera. But the real question is, how much do you want to subsidize the pool each year with regards to the users? So, Gavin.
I guess one thing to keep, well, how we developed this document was, you'll see in on the estimated side, Darren and I and staff sat down in January of '21 and came up with these numbers after talking to the pool builder and just looking at past trends and things like that. And so you can see our estimates were, I mean, we were pretty close. We anticipated a 30% increase in attendance, and we did really well. The revenues came in really well. Another thing to keep in mind for '21, this and these expenses and some of the revenue would reflect that is this is the longest the pool has ever been open. We were open during the fair week last year, a week after the fair, and then 3 weekends all the way up until Labor Day. And so those numbers, you know, there are expenses that go along with that. So another one of the things we did do, you'll see pool chemicals listed there under expenses, $3,900. We didn't know how the pool chemicals were going to come out. We knew this new pool was going to be more efficient. In the past, we'd always included the pool chemicals in the lifeguarding and management contract. And when talking with our lifeguard contractor, she said, well, we don't know what they're going to be. We assume they'll be less, but we're not sure. And we're going to err on the high side if we're going to bid this out and put it in the contract. And so she suggested taking it out and we pay our own chemicals as they come in. And so she said she was probably going to estimate about $10,000. And so what we actually spent was $3,900. So the pool is pretty efficient with as far as the chemicals go, which is a good thing. And then I guess as far as revenue, it's been, I think, many years since we've had a concession stand that was open, and you can see that we brought in almost $41,000 in revenue. And then also with the birthday parties, we've never really had birthday party packages. We brought in some additional revenue there. Trying to make use of that pavilion out there that we had built. And I guess going forward, at the last meeting, per Park Board's recommendation and your approval, we'll be staying open 1 week longer this year. So we'll be open all the way up until right before school, a couple days before school starts. And then we'll be open on weekends once school starts. So, any questions about this document?
Well, the Parks Commission agreed not to amend the user fees.
Keep it the same as it was.
Keep it the same.
Yes.
But last year we had a grand opening discount. So we're not going to have that anymore, correct, Wayne?
That is not.
That was a one-time, we
That was
thought
a
that would be a
one-time
one-time
deal?
deal, yeah.
Right. So it's going to be $7 a day and punch card visits, and anytime you want to buy them. No after June number.
No,
whatever.
correct.
Correct, yeah.
Right, that's what make sure we're, yeah.
Any other comments or discussion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Holtmeyer to send this item on to council.
Well, there's just.
No, it's just a discussion.
It's just
To
a
accept
discussion. You don't
the-
have to do anything
Sorry.
because you already have the fees in place.
Perfect.
Right.
Just to make sure. It's
So-
just.
And I appreciate the data, collecting that data and presenting it like this, and look at that.
So do we accept the
good.
data? Or we just don't need a motion?
You don't need anything.
All right.
Mark,
Save that motion for
do we need
another
to do
day.
anything since there's a motion on the floor? Okay.
I'll rescind my motion.
We'll save it for another time. How's that? So,
I did have a little bit more pool news. I don't know if you all had a chance to check your email today, but last week I attended the Parks and Rec State Conference in Springfield, Missouri, and Westport, our pool builder, was there, and they're a big sponsor of the conference. And as I was going through the expo hall, their staff stopped me, and I sent some pictures of Dare, and they had a lot of marketing materials up, like 6-foot-tall banner things, and highlighting some of their pools that they've done in the last year, including, we had 2 different pictures on there. I guess the artist rendition, if you all remember what the pool was going to look like, and then on the next banner was the actual pool finished product. And we were the only one that had two pictures on their marketing material. New Haven was on there, and Mexico, Missouri, and then a couple other ones. But as I stopped at their booth, staff said, "Oh, did Ryan Casserly, the president, did he tell you the good news?" And I said, "No." Ryan had just walked off. And they're like, "Oh, we'll let you tell him, or we'll let Ryan tell you." And I forgot about it. And I saw him later that night, and he said, "Did staff tell you the good news?" And I said, "No, they said you were gonna tell me." And he said, "Oh, well, they submitted our pool as a pool project to their, I guess, kind of association that they belong to, and the pool won the 2002 Award for Distinction, and it says Aqua Master, Large Commercial Award by the United Aqua Group. And it beat out large projects spanning from California, Texas, and Florida by some of the country's most prestigious builders. And it said the organization received over 150 entries for various size categories, and the category that Washington won was by far the largest and most prestigious category. So he's
Wow.
going to try to get me, he gave me the website, and I think I sent it all to you guys, but try to get some kind of plaque made. We can
Yeah,
put it
that'd be
up out there.
great.
So.
Yeah, congratulations. That was
Yeah, it was very cool. So it was.
So Wayne's going to be fielding phone calls from parks directors all across the state.
It's already happened.
About
I've
how
had
we did.
Florissant call me last fall, and another one too. I can't remember who it was.
Let it go to your head, Wayne.
Yeah.
He won't, after the third call, it'll all be gone.
Did you tell him
Congratulations, that's
All
exciting.
those documents. So.
Did you tell him you just started when the pool started?
Yeah,
So I
well,
have
that's
on the
great. Thank you for sharing that.
Ground Maintenance Services 2022.
Good evening again. So we have the annual ground service maintenance contract. It's a continuation of the contract we had with Clay Camp Lawn and Landscape Service. And they cut 13 park properties and 4 fire department properties for us. And that would total $53,350. Last year, and even the year before, they've been great. If ever there's ever a mix-up, the tree gets hit, anything like that, they're very proactive and call me right away and admit to the mistake or whatever it may be. So we'd like to continue that contract. I know the fire department talks very highly of them. I manage that contract also, but I think Clay Camp does some other work for the fire department too on their grounds. And so we're just looking to continue the contract. Is there any questions? I think.
Wayne, what is, those 13 parks that they're doing, what percentage of our parks are they doing? Would you, just ballpark,
If I never really thought about it like that. If I had to guess, they're probably doing 60%. We still do all right now, all of Lakeview, down in the valley, the fairgrounds. I'm sure there's going to be some I miss. Burger Park, which is a large one.
Phoenix? They do Phoenix.
They do Phoenix. Yeah,
It does Phoenix.
That's good. I was just curious as to what portion they're doing. So.
yeah, it's probably about 60, I think.
So this will be the third year, the last
Yes.
year of a 3-year proposal that they gave to the city. And so with the service that they provided, I think, and also due to the fact of, it was a pretty competitive bid at the time that we received that back in the time. So we feel we need to take advantage of that for as long as we can.
Yeah, we saved quite a bit of money bidding it out this last time versus the last contractor.
Any questions or comments?
Make motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Patke, to send this item on to council. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you've sent it on. Thank you.
You want to go in executive? Public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, or real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO 2000. Heidrich? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Pettit?
Aye.
Reed?
Yep.
Scornia?
Yes.
Solentrep?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned for executive session, and our next meeting
Meeting will
will
start
start
about
at
7.
7.